Welcome. It's Sunday, the 28th of June, 2026, and we're still in the Sermon on the Mount, and we're in Matthew 5:9 now. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Whenever I'm reading the Bible, I often find myself, particularly with these. I'm going to take my glasses off. I hate the circle light. And maybe you can see them in my eyes. I don't know, but I can't because I'm blurry. But I always get this chicken and an egg feeling, and it's important that because the way we communicate is significantly different in English, modern day English, as it might have been at the time when Jesus himself was speaking, and even later when the people who were writing the manuscripts that we now have were writing. And by the way, you're not to criticize, but your pastor can translate all the words from the Bible he wants. But the thing is, no matter which version of the Bible you're reading, it's an interpretation because a translation by nature is an interpretation. Anyone who speaks more than one language knows that. And you know that you can't simply just translate word for word. It doesn't work. And so to make it make sense, you have to understand the mindset of the people writing it. And of course, if I'm understanding your mindset, I'm interpreting it. Am I not? Right? I'm trying to understand, but I don't get it. I have to sort of work my way around it. All right, anyway. So Matthew 5:9, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. And it's a chicken and egg kind of thing. It's not like you have to go out and make peace to earn being called a child of God, right? But it is because the it is the nature of God for peace. And you can read all the Old Testament scriptures you want about go in and destroy this and do that. That was written that no one sat down with God while God dictated those words. They were recounting, they were telling a history or a story, and they were using their eyes and their perspective to do it. If you don't see that, then you are misreading the Bible and you are losing an amazing opportunity to explore the very heart of God. That's all. All right. So, blessed are the peacemakers. And of course, when I was a kid, what did I envision? I envisioned, you know, schoolyard fights, and instead of everyone shouting fight, 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 someone came in, often a teacher, and broke us up. Us. Oop, did I say that? Yes, I got into fights. I can't believe it. Of course, I can believe it. Um, but anyway, yes, I got into fights as a kid. So, but that's what I thought. Okay, break it up, guys, break it up. Shake hands now. Now, the shake hands was nice, but you only did it because you were forced to. And that's an interesting thing because peace isn't just the lack of fighting. Like some people stew inside when they're not fighting. Like, oh, have you ever, like, let me ask you a question. Have you ever had an argument with someone and then that argument lived in your head for the next, I don't know, hours, and you kept thinking, I should have said this, I should have said that, I could have said this, I could have said that. You're still fighting. Just because the person isn't there, you're still fighting. So making peace isn't that. And, you know, we talk about wars and rumors of wars, and all right, you know what? Making war is not making peace, is it? Um, Although they argue, oh, we're avoiding future wars. Okay, who's qui bono? Who's making money? War doesn't happen without people wanting to make money. Really, really. So, what does it mean? Of course, it just came to my mind. Remember the Monty Python movie, The Life of Brian, and Jesus was on the sermon on the giving the sermon on the mount. The people in the back couldn't hear him, and blessed are the cheesemakers. Why? Oh, that was a funny movie. It was banned. That's why I went to see it as a kid. Anyway, yeah, it was banned. Um, Not by the government, by the Catholic Church, because I was a Catholic kid, and so anyway, uh, what does it mean to make peace, and what does that tell us about God? Because we're not earning the right to be called children of God by becoming a peacemaker. It sounds like that almost in English, but it's really all about if you are a child of God, you'll naturally want to make peace. Now, for some people, particularly in our political environment, making peace means making you agree with me. I'm sorry. Oh my gosh, that's not making peace either. And, you know, there is another kind of peace that I think is beyond the understanding that most people apply to this verse. And this is the point. I mean, really, it's the point. You need peace. You need peace to live a good life. You need peace to be in harmony with your surroundings. Doesn't mean you always agree with them or that you always like them. Doesn't mean that you're a doormat either. But it does mean that you have an inner peace and that you are, in a sense, able, through your example, through your living example, able to produce that or exemplify that or encourage others to seek the same thing. This is the true witness. It's not preaching the Bible on the corner with a microphone like many do and like I once did. It's not passing out tracts, little leaflets getting people to believe the way you believe. It's not inviting people to church, although that's nice, actually, and inviting people to church, not so that they hear the word and come to believe, but that they realize that this is a lovely community that will welcome them. And as someone who has been unwelcome in some congregations, I will tell you that it's notable. And it's quite notable when you go a few times and eventually you're invited to the new member class where you learn what everybody in the church believes and you better line up. But, you know, uh, church doesn't mean not thinking for yourself, right? That's And people love, I'm going to say this, people love to not think for themselves. They love it. They love, you don't have to do it. Just whatever the pastor says, whatever some speaker says. Oh, I agree with that. I never thought of it that way before. That's very clever. I'm on board. People love to not think for themselves. Uh, it's a problem. So we're talking then about inner peace and being able to have the confidence that God is God, and B, that you're part of the body of Christ, or and that's a sense of belonging. You know, people talk about the second coming of Christ and how Jesus will arrive on, the clouds and in the east, and maybe, but who's waiting around for that? And if you welcome it, but who's waiting around for that? There was a certain point when I realized in my life that the best I could do, and it's not about making sure that the temple on the mount is, that the mosque is destroyed and the temple is reconstructed and sacrifices begin again. These people with the book of Revelation, just nuts. I'm sorry. If that's you and I just offended you, let me make peace with you. There is room for you, but I don't believe what you believe. Like, that's just mean. That's just ridiculous. And yeah, you could say that I've just said something really bad, but I don't think that's the way God feels. But it's more about knowing, it's like the confidence inside yourself to know that you and God have a relationship, that you are spiritual, and that you're here to learn certain lessons, and that every lesson brings you even closer to God. So when you meet someone you don't like, make peace. Not only peace with that person, but peace within yourself. Don't be upset that they're different from you. And by that peace that is inside you, that is in fact your witness. That is the fact, it is in fact your witness because of the way you live. Remember that they'll know we are Christians by our love, by our love. Yes, they'll know we are Christians by our love. I don't see a lot of love. In fact, what I see is people having tough love. I'm going to tell you how wrong you are so that you believe like me, and that's because I love you. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Mm. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling the love. Okay? I'm not feeling it. When I run into people like that, it's like, oh. And you know what? I'm not going to fight because I have peace. And I listen and I thank you. One time I was sitting next to this woman on the bus, and she was telling me all about Jehovah. She was a Jehovah's Witness. And you know, I know enough about that religion that I'm just not fascinated by it. Let's put it that way. I'm just not fascinated. And I kept trying to give her hints. Like, I wanted her to shut up. I wanted her to leave me alone. And there are a number of things that I tried that used to work but don't work anymore. Like telling her that I was disfellowshipped in 1982 or something like that. which meant she would not be allowed to even talk to me. And I thought that would do it, but they changed that rule. So apparently God changed his mind again. And so I finally, I just looked at her, and with all, I just, I wanted the conversation to end. And I'm allowed to want that. My bus time is quiet for me. It's like I get to think, and I sometimes I pray, sometimes I work through things. But she's chatting away about how wonderful it is to go to the Kingdom Hall or something like that. She said, I wasn't paying attention. I wasn't interested. And so finally, I looked at her with all the niceness in the world. And I said to her, I said, you know, I'm really trying to be nice. I'm glad that you found something that you love and that it works for you. I'm really glad. But I don't want to hear it. And I'm not interested. It's not working. And so maybe stop talking to me. I, I'm I, I'm not really participating in this conversation. Now wouldn't it be nice if in today's political environment people just looked at each other and said, instead of blaming each other and yelling, I just read a post this morning, what about these, liberals or and it's like they're so stupid. It's like why are liberals living in your head? Why are conservatives living in your head? You have to live your life. And if you're not, I'm not telling you not to protest, not to be involved politically. I'm not saying that. You can be involved, but that sort of banter is not constructive at all. It's not constructive. And so if we're going to get anywhere, we need the peacemakers who not only make peace between people, those kids fight, 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 fight. That's the antithesis of peacemaking. But we need people who have found the peace inside themselves to not be bothered by what's happening around them. Doesn't mean that if I see somebody being abused that I don't stand up. All right, I'll stand up, and if it gets me into a fight, even at 65, I might fight back. But I'm not that guy Reacher, although he always seemed very ethical, that Reacher character. He's a little violent, don't you think? Um, Perhaps not unwarranted, but certainly not the example of Christianity that, or at least what I think is Christianity. You don't have to believe me, by the way. I want you to think for yourself. Gosh, I'd love a pastor to say that. I'd love a pastor to say that behind the pulpit. Listen, this is just what I think. But they're not willing to say that. They're supposed to be the example because they're experienced and educated. So, anyway, blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called children of God. And it's not like you aren't. Again, it is who you are. And if you're not a peacemaker, maybe it's something for you to consider. But first, find that peace inside yourself to know that inside you're all right. And no matter what's going on around you, you're all right. And let me bring up the martyrs just as a closing remark. There were people who were fed to lions. Now, fed to lions. They were put in an arena, thousands of people around them cheering on, waiting for the lion. They release the lion, and the lion is starving. They maybe they run. I mean, that would be natural, wouldn't it? To run. Or maybe they just stood there because they were at peace and they knew they were going to die. You're not earning being called child of God, but it's obvious, or it should be.